I think this is the coolest thing in the world. Every week have some sort of training call and learn from people that are making it happen at a high level in the industry. In my experience as a team member, that's where I've learned the most, right? From people that are getting results, getting it done at a high level. So that's my hope today, that I can share some things. And, my hope is that you will take at least one thing back to what you're doing in the agency and get to that next level, apply it, make it work for you, and start writing more policies. Okay. So like Chandler said, I am a team member, which I've been doing this for 6 years. So I've been around for a while in the multi-line space, and I absolutely love the multi-line space. I want to start by explaining the opportunity that we have at our fingertips, because our customers are required to have auto, right, to drive legally, and they need to have a homeowner's policy if they have a mortgage on the home, right? The opportunity is great, especially with financial services, because we have customers, we have people that need those things, and they're calling our offices to get quotes. We're quoting a lot of PNC business. And because they need the PNC, or they're calling us about the PNC, there are so many opportunities to write financial service, to write the life insurance, right? To write the supplemental health products that our companies offer. So I want to talk a little bit about that today and how we can work strategically. And so my agenda, it's going to be a little bit more unconventional than what I've seen, but I want to share, I've got about 40 things listed here that I feel that have helped me be consistent in the multi-line space with financial services. Different strategies, different ideas, tactics, ideas that have helped me find consistency day in and day out with selling financial services. Like Chandler's saying, I didn't always start out selling a lot of financial services. Right now, I'm consistently selling over 200 life insurance applications every single year by myself, as well as over 100 health insurance applications. So I want to talk to you about that and how I feel like I'm able to do that. But like Chandler said, I didn't just start out selling like I am now. It took me learning different things and through trial and error, developing different processes, developing and working on a winning mindset, learning basic sales skills, and really refining those things, that I feel like it's a congruence of all of these things that I'm going to share with you guys today that have allowed me to have this success. And not only just this success 1 year, 1 month, but consistently every single year, every single month. Okay. And so I want to share those things. After that, I want to share a process that I've developed that I teach that is absolutely incredible. It is so effective. It works. It's very simple. As a team member, you're not going to feel like a salesperson. Your customer's not going to feel like they're being sold to. And so it's a beautiful place to be, especially with us in our roles, right? We're advising people of risks they face. But I think at times, us team members, we don't want to feel that sales pressure. We don't like to feel like we're pushing something onto someone else, but we know we need to talk to them about it. And so I'm going to teach you this play of how we can write life insurance. And then if your company, offers a short-term disability policy, how we can write life insurance and short-term disability policies to our customers that have loans on their vehicles in a very simple, transactional, and effective way. I know I shared this process with you guys on the last webinar, but I'm sure we have people from that attending this meeting as well, but also people that haven't. So I wanted to share that because it's something that you guys can take and you can apply immediately. And I'm very, very confident that if you will do it and you will do it consistently, you're going to write policies. And of course, if you guys have questions, or if there's something that resonates with you or anything, use the chat. Chandler and Dennis, if you'll keep an eye on that for me, we'll make sure that we're answering questions and getting people taken care of. So and then I think I just want to end with a Q&A. If you guys have questions, I'd love to answer those at the end. Okay, so how do I write 200 life insurance applications every single year consistently, as well as 100 plus health insurance applications every year consistently, all while writing P&C, right? Because I have a lot of team members and agents ask, do you sell P&C, or are you just selling life insurance? Are you just selling the health insurance supplements? And to answer that question, I write it all. Okay. My role in our agency is I'm a hybrid sales and service team member. I will take calls in as they come and I will take care of the service. Right. And so I know how you guys feel. I know the limiting beliefs and excuses that we tell ourselves about, holy cow, I can't find time to sell because all I'm doing is service, right? I hope to tweak that mindset a little bit today, because service, it's such a gold mine, right? Especially in the multi-line space. Okay. So how do I do it? Well, I'm going to start going through these things. And these are all things that have been lever movers for me. What I did is I brain dumped. I went back in my mind 6 years ago when I started in this space, right? When I was writing 15 life apps, what it took for me to go from 15 the one year to 123 the next, to 231 the next, and 251 the next. And I'm on track to do over 200 as well this year. So what changed for me? What allowed me to go from 15 a year, right, to now consistently over 200? Let's get into it. The first thing is we need to be in control of our day. So often I find team members, including myself at the first, is we're dealing with a lot, right? There is a lot throughout the day that requires our time and attention. We're trying to sell policies, P&C. We're trying to write life insurance. We're dealing with our customers coming in the office, right? To make payments, to file claims, underwriting emails, whatever it is, we have a lot going on, right? And if we are not intentional with controlling our day is going to control us. And we all know that, right? So I just ask yourself this question. When you get in the office, are you letting the phone ringing, customers coming into the office, and your email dictate your day? Or do you have a plan? Do you have intention going into the day of how you can control that day? Being in control of your time is so important, right? We all have the same 8 hours in the day. So what is it that separates team members that are selling insurance consistently at a high level versus ones that aren't, right? Think about that. You need to be in control of your day. Have intention and pay attention. Intention is so important, right? Because we have all this going on throughout the day. If we're not very clear with our intentions and what we want to do, and a very simple plan of attack of how we're going to do that, daily things that we can do, then it's going to get lost. We're not going to be able to be as effective as we could, as if we did have intention, right? And pay attention. Be very aware of what's going on, right? Be aware of what's working for you in your sales conversations. Develop awareness around where you're getting stuck with your customers. If there's certain objections you're running into, where you're getting objections with your customers, because that awareness, I personally feel, is the first step to making changes to be able to get to that next level. Okay. I see a question here, Steve. Chandler and Dennis, what do you guys think? Do we want to wait for the end for these? Do you want me to attack these as they come in? What do you guys think would be best?
It's really up to you. I mean, what do you prefer?
I can just answer them as they come in. I think this is great. Okay. So Steve Weber says, why do people fill out a form on Facebook requesting life insurance information, and it's so hard to reach them to set up an appointment? I tried texting, email, and calling at least 8 times over a few days. That's a great question, Steve. And you know what? That's frustrating, right? I think there's no getting around that. It is frustrating, especially for us team members. We're ready to have conversations. We get these leads just for us to call them and them not to answer. Very frustrating, right? Steve, there's a few things that I think will help, that have really helped me with my response rate recently, that I want to share right now, because I think this is important, right? Because for us team members, it gets exhausting to just dial and dial and dial and dial just for them not to answer us, right? And we commit to training, we commit to getting better at our conversations, but I feel like most of the day we spend calling, and we're getting excited just for them not to answer, right? That's frustrating. Here's a couple things that I've done to help my response rate. And this is something I learned from another team member in the group that I run, which is so cool. But he says, And guys, this will go to a play on what our customers are thinking. Okay. And you're going to learn a lot about me that I really like to know with certain situations, how our customers are thinking, what they're thinking about, and how they're feeling. Okay. And so to get customers on the phone, I learned what's called double tap. Okay. Meaning if Chandler Hahn is a lead, I'm going to call Chandler first. If he doesn't answer that phone call that first time, I'm going to immediately redial. Okay. The reason for that is because put yourself in that situation. If you get a phone call and you don't see the caller ID that first time, are you going to answer it? I know I'm not going to. I'm going to let it go to the voicemail. But if I saw that I got that call and it went to voicemail, but I got that same number calling me back the second time, I would probably answer. And you'll find that your customers will answer your prospects as well. Okay. So double tap. Now, if they don't answer after that second phone call, I will text them and I will say, is this Chandler? Question mark. Okay. Because same thing, right? My whole goal here is I want to get a response. And if I got a text message that said, hey, is this Colter? You better believe I'm curious. Like, who is this? Right. And you'll get that response. And then at that point I say, hey, sorry, Chandler. I thought we might've had the wrong phone number. I tried calling you a few times, but looks like we don't. Boom, jump into what you're calling them for. Okay. And so double tap. If they don't answer the second time, shoot them a text. Is this so-and-so? I think your response rate will go up a lot, Steve. It definitely has helped me as of late. Okay. Jessica, this is so powerful, being intentional and being aware. Agree with Steve. Guys, that's so great, right? And it's frustrating for us team members because it requires a lot of time and energy of us to make these phone calls just for them not to answer. So try that out. Let me know what you guys think and how it works for you. Okay. Next thing is practice, through practice and just getting really good at my conversation. We hear role play, and I know a lot of us team members don't love to role play. Well, guess what? I don't know anyone that does, right? But I think it's very effective. Now, practice, I will give you something that I've implemented in practice and role plays for myself that I really feel like has helped me make it sustainable and me actually do it and have it be effective. With practicing, I like to, whoever my customer is, one of my coworkers, I like to just tell them like, look, don't give me objections right now. Let me get through the full sales process so I can visualize myself doing it with my customers rather than I start pitching and they give me objections right away, right? Let me get through the process, the full conversation before you give me objections, right? We can work on objections another time, but right now I want to get through that conversation, right? And I think that we focus so much on objections, and guys, I don't get a lot of objections, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I feel that we focus a lot on overcoming objections and we really focus and practice and really hit that hard. I think we don't talk enough about preventing them in the first place. Right. But in regards to practice and role play, if you are the customer for your team member, whoever you're practicing with, let them get through the conversation. We can deal with objections later, but I think sometimes we give objections and we never get through the process. And so it doesn't really build our confidence around that specific conversation. Okay. Next thing, ready, fire, aim. This is a concept that has absolutely shaped what I'm doing in agency, but also in my life. I think all too often we wait until we feel quote unquote ready. Okay. But this simple phrase has helped me just commit to action. Ready, fire, aim. Just commit to action. And once you take that action, go back and look and review how it went for yourself, right? But through experience, in my experience, that is where I'm gaining the most traction. That's where I'm gaining the most progress in my conversations. Benefits over features. This is a big deal, especially within insurance. Before I got into insurance 6 years ago, I was a door-to-door salesman, and I learned really, really good sales skills that helped me incredibly, right? That helped me still to this day. But when I joined insurance, I didn't realize I was focusing a lot on features that year that I wrote 15 life apps. I was really just talking to my customers about the features of life insurance. life insurance, life insurance, life insurance, life insurance, that I never was really helping the customer understand what the benefits are, how their life would change by having this coverage in place. Benefits over features, action over contemplation, right? This goes along with a couple of things I've already said. Prioritize action, right? Commit to taking action. You're never going to know everything, right? So just understand that and commit to action, action over contemplation. Simplicity over complexity. Insurance is complex. Think about before you guys got into insurance, and think about your basic coverages of liability coverages of your car insurance policy. Did you understand how those policies, how those coverages worked? Did you understand what they would do for you if you did cause an accident? I know I didn't. I just knew I need this stuff to drive legally. Okay. And so right there, guys, we know insurance is complex. And so it's very, very important. It's absolutely crucial if you're wanting to see more results in your production to make it very simple. We need to talk to our customers very, very simply. We need to help them understand what this stuff will do for them. And I think the easiest way to keep it simple is to focus on what it will do for them in their specific situation. And I like to think I want to keep this as simple so that an 8th grader could understand what I'm saying. Simplicity over complexity. That's a big deal. Progress over perfection. This is a big one. Coming from me, I'm a perfectionist. I like to have things right in line before I do something. But what I've learned that's allowed me to actually get into conversations and into production, out of my head and into production, is understanding that I'm never going to be perfect. I'm not going to know everything, but progress is what is important. And the way that I've seen the most progress is through taking daily action. Authenticity over imitation. Okay. There's all sorts of sales processes out there, right? All sorts of different strategies to sell life insurance, supplemental health policies, auto insurance, fire insurance, business insurance, everything, right? There's a lot of things out there, and there's not really one perfect or right way to do it, right? But I think the way for it to become sustainable for you is to make it your own, right? Be authentic to you. Each of you are unique. You have your own style, right? And so what you learn from different people, what you will learn from me, take bits and pieces, make it part of what you do, and make it your own, right? It becomes sustainable and something that you can do every single day consistently. And the cool thing is it works, okay? Understand your customer. We always hear that being said, hey, put yourself in your customer's shoes. But I want to take that a step further, maybe on a tangent a little bit, and say, put yourself in your customer's mind. Get very good at understanding what your customers are thinking, right? We're going to talk about the play that we can run for our customers, that anytime they have a loan on a vehicle, we can talk to them about life insurance to pay that loan off if they pass away, disability insurance to make their monthly payments if they were to become disabled, right? This play works because I understand what's going on in customers' minds when they get a loan, right? And we'll talk about that. But, there's an element of stress that comes with debt. And so when our customers get a loan on a vehicle, they're a little stressed, right? And so with this conversation, we can enter the conversation happening in their mind already, and have a very convincing conversation around things that are thinking about, that they're a little stressed about, and that they're worried about. Okay. And we'll talk about that. You'll see how all this will come together here at the end. Keep the life and health coverage complementary to the auto and the home. For many of us, we're in the multi-line space, right? Whatever company you're with, odds are, and maybe ask yourself this question: when my customers think of my company, what policies do they associate with my company? I guarantee you that the majority of the answers here are going to be, well, they think auto and home, right? Ask yourself, are they thinking about life insurance when they associate your company? Odds are that probably not. Are they thinking about disability coverage, Medicare supplements, right? They're not. Okay. They're thinking about the auto and the home. And so strategically being able to keep the life and the health coverage complementary to the auto and home you will find you'll be able to get into more conversations, into a better conversation, and it makes a lot of sense for our customers. Okay. Talked a little bit about developing awareness, but I think this is so important. Every month, I try to do it weekly, but at least every month, I have a self-accountability exercise where I will look at 4 pillars of progress that I've called them. These 4 pillars represent one of the lever movers that I feel like helps me stay consistent. The 4 pillars are mindset, activity, training, and follow-up for me. Okay. And I've recently added a 5th, and it's belief, right? But all of these areas, what I will do, let's say that it's the end of June, I'm going to look back over June and I'm going to look in each of these areas and ask myself, how did I do with my activity? Did I hit my daily conversation goal with my customers? How was my mindset? How's my training? How's my conversation going? Am I getting stuck somewhere? How's my follow-up? Am I following up enough? Is my follow-up effective? Is it resulting in policies written? Right. And so I do this self-accountability exercise to develop awareness around what's working and what's not, and where I need to focus and to get to that next level. I think awareness is so, so important. Okay. Jake says, so it's mindset, activity, training, follow-up, and belief. Okay. Belief in myself, confidence in myself. Okay. Great question. Thank you, Jake. Be brutally honest with yourself. I think this is important, guys. I think, as I'm in a lot of trainings with different team members and agencies, I think sometimes we're not brutally honest with ourselves, with where we're at, right? We sometimes give ourselves the benefit of the doubt, even though what we're doing is not working. And so just be brutally honest with yourself. Are your conversations, are your pivots working, right? Or are you getting stuck right there after your pivot, right? Is what you're doing, is your sales conversation, are you effectively helping a customer paint the picture, help them see what's in it for them? Is that working for you, right? How is your mindset? Are you coming to work every day in a positive attitude, in a growth mindset, or are you struggling in that area, right? Ask yourself these questions and be brutally honest so you can actually get to the next level or know what you need to do next. Okay. Try to hit your goals before noon. I absolutely love this one. And this is a mindset that I was able to learn from the door-to-door industry. I had a sales manager at the time, and I was really, really good at selling one account every day. But I don't know what it was, but I don't know what it was. I couldn't get past one. So I remember calling up my sales manager and I asked him, like, what do I got to do? I can get one consistently every day. I think I went like 80 days where I had a streak of 80 days where I didn't miss. I sold something every day. And in the door-to-door space, I was tough, but I don't know what it was. I couldn't get past that. And I remember he talked to me about a few different things, but one of the things he said, he told me to break my day into 3, right? And maybe it's 2 for you, maybe it's 3, but maybe you go from 9 to noon, right? And then noon to 3 and 3 to 5:30 or 6, whenever that is. Break up your day. But I love the concept of getting done and hitting my goals for that day before noon, right? And I personally feel that if we give ourselves 8 hours to accomplish a task, right, we're going to take the full 8 hours. But if we give ourselves 3 hours, you'd be very surprised. You're going to get done what's taking you 8 hours in 3 hours if you just set that intention in place. It's been awesome for me. Keep an open mind. I think this is very important, especially if you've been doing this for a while. I believe that an old dog can learn new tricks. If people are getting success around you and in your industry, find out what they're doing and take bits and pieces. Don't change what's working for you, but make it better, right? And that's how I've evolved. All of the plays that I run on a consistent basis is from trial and error, from learning. And I've got bits and pieces from different people that are getting results at a high level. Okay. But keep an open mind, stay humble, right? We don't know everything. We're never going to know everything. So don't convince yourself that you do. Always be learning, right? Kind of goes along with that. Use strategy. I think sometimes we're taught that we need to pivot, that we need to make all these outbound phone calls. And, if your company has promotions, use strategy to hit those promotions. Wouldn't you want to create some sort of momentum at the beginning of that promotion so you can start? And guys, I feel like momentum is a big deal in a sales position. Wouldn't you want to create some momentum, get some applications submitted so that it can help you for the rest of the promotion? Right? I think there's some strategy in how we can create momentum, but I think sometimes we don't think about the strategy. We just focus on the process. But I think both strategy and process are important to work smart, right? And actually hit the promotions that we're wanting to hit our goals. I think strategy is a big deal. Brian, will there be a replay sent out with this content? I assume so, right, Chandler and Dennis?
Yeah, we'll be sending out the recording within like 24 hours of the webinar.
Beautiful. There you go, Brian. Be proactive. This is something that, for me, I am very proactive throughout the day. If a customer, I try to look for an opportunity with every single household or every single interaction I come across with a customer. I want to create an opportunity, and that requires being proactive and not just reactive. Appreciate you, Jessica. Just don't let your pen down. A lot of golden nuggets. I love it. Thank you. Innovate. Okay. And I think this goes along with making it your own. Become an innovator, be creative, right? Think of creative ways to help educate your customers, right? And I think once you understand and start to put more focus and think about what your customer's thinking at certain events when they call you, right? If a customer just purchased a home, what kind of feelings are they having? What kind of thoughts are they having, right? And when you understand that more, I think you can be very creative, very innovative, and have a conversation in a very effective way. That's, for me, how this play that I'm about to run with you guys came about. I knew and I had heard of this conversation called the triangle of protection with a homeowner's policy, where we help educate our customers on, obviously, your homeowner's policy. If that thing burns to the ground, you've got coverage to rebuild you, but also, hey, you've got this mortgage. If you pass away prematurely, guess what? Your family's still going to have this mortgage. Do you want them to struggle to make this payment? Do you want it paid off? Then making the mortgage payment. Look, you're working. Well, let me tell you about a risk. If you get sick or hurt and it puts you out of work for an extended period of time, do you want to exhaust your savings account to make this payment? Do you want to be in a situation where you might have to sell your house? Right? Or do you want to be able to be sure that no matter what happens, you can stay in your house for you and your family? Right? So that triangle protection conversation, one day I was like, why am I not doing this with car loans? Right? We come across so many people throughout the day that have loans on their vehicles. And so I tried it the first time, absolutely botched the conversation. Like, I was writing it out in front of the customer in front of me, drawing a triangle, helping him understand the risks. I felt like I totally screwed it up. But guess what he told me at the end of the conversation? He says, okay, great, let's do it. Because he saw the value. Okay. So a couple of things I learned from that is, one, be innovative, be creative, think of new ways of doing things, but also you do not have to be perfect. Action over contemplation. So important. Create an offer that is so good that your customer has a hard time telling you no. I love this idea. And the cool thing being in the multi-line space is there's a lot of times there's discounts that we can use and get our customers that kind of help bring premium down and allows us to use some of that premium to get another policy, right? Problem solve with your customers, but do what you can and think about, how can I create an offer that's so good my customer has a hard time saying no? Let's say that you develop an account awareness and you're looking through their account and you see, oh, here's a list of discounts that they don't have. You do the math and you see, oh, I've got $50 to work with if they agree with these and if they qualify for these discounts. You call them, you confirm they get they qualify for the discounts, and you make sure that they want them, right? But then you've got $50 of leverage that you can use in your conversations, right? Now, is an offer, I guess if we look at two offers, right? If a bill's going to go up $30 a month versus one that's going to go down 10, and you're still getting them a life insurance policy in place, which one's the better offer? It's obviously the one where their bill's not going to change. It's going to go down, right? We have that. We can do that in the multi-line space. It's a big deal. Create an offer so good that your customer has a hard time saying no. Work on your most important activities first. And I think on top of that, be aware of timing with yourself. For me, I am the most effective, I am the most clear, and the most sharp from hours 9 to noon. And so that's when I work on my lever moving activities. If I'm wanting to sell more life insurance and that's my primary goal, because we're in a promotion or because that's what I want to do, guess when I'm going to work on my follow-up calls? Guess when I'm going to call on lists? Guess when I'm going to, do all of those things? It's going to be from 9 to noon. Do your most important activities first. Momentum. I've talked a little bit about that. I think momentum is overlooked with what we do, but momentum is so powerful, especially in a sales position. I can't tell you how many days I've wrote a lot of policies because I wrote one at about 9 or 10 in the morning, right? And creating that momentum, I become more laid back and I'm able to actually have more conversations without coming across as like I'm really just trying to get you to get this policy and desperate. There we go. Pushy. Desperate is what I was looking for, but I think pushy is another word, right? Me getting some momentum at the beginning of the day, even if I don't write a policy, right? But if I hit my conversation goal before noon, I've got momentum. I'm able to work better and not a desperate or pushy way. Energy flows freely once momentum is created. Jessica, right on the dot. I love that. Thank you. Have a game plan, right? Especially if if you want to write a certain amount of policies in a certain amount of time for a promotion, or if this month you want to write more policies, have a game plan, right? We focus a lot on process, but do you have a game plan of how you're actually going to get there? Work on the S and Me 500. I love this. This has been an absolute lever mover for me as well. Aside from, learning how to sell and developing those sales skills and having consistent activity, I've learned that there's more to selling life insurance or any line of insurance consistently at a high level than just great sales processes that work. We have got to develop ourselves, develop skills around how we can keep a winning mindset throughout the day, how we can be growth focused, how we can develop different skills. And I think that is the S and Me 500. Don't overlook for personal development. It was one of the big things that allowed me to start writing things consistently, because being consistent is tough. Just like Chandler said, there's a lot of moving parts. But I think if you don't have your mindset right and you don't have something in place that's repeatable, something that you can do every single day, I think you're going to be missing out on a lot of production, but also fulfillment in what you do. So work on the S and Me 500. Invest in yourself. Same thing. Non-negotiables. I'm a big believer in non-negotiables. And I think everyone should have non-negotiables in what they do, especially being a team member in the multi-line space. What do you want to accomplish? Right? Ask yourself that question. And if you don't know, figure out what you want to accomplish, but then get down all the way to daily tasks, daily controllable tasks, that if you do these tasks consistently, they're money makers. They're going to get you policies written. So those should become your non-negotiables. And what that means, guys, is you show up every single day and those get done. There's no negotiation. It's a benchmark. You've got to do this every day if you're serious about hitting your goals. Amanda, are you going to run the auto loan play today in this meeting? Absolutely, I will. Amanda, I'm excited about it. Systems and processes. I am a big believer in systems and processes. I feel like that allows consistency. If there are processes that are proven to work within a system, right? And I think the system is your game plan and your strategy of when you're going to run certain lists, when you're going to call certain customers, right? What part of the day are you going to work on your lever moving activities or your money makers? I think that's a system, right? And then these processes are different things that work, are proven to work to help your customers understand what's coverages, these policies can do for them. Systems and processes are very, very important. Keep the axe sharp. I think, especially being in this space, training is a big deal. And I think for some of us, sometimes we think that we know everything and we think that we've learned a play, right? For example, we're going to look at this auto loan play, the car loan process. And maybe if you've heard it before, some of us kind of check out like, oh, I've already heard that. But I think keeping the axe sharp, I practice every single day with these things. And I think it's very, very important that we continue to practice, because I feel if we don't do that, we're either progressing or we're digressing, right? And if we're not training and we feel like we're good, I feel like we're digressing, right? Whereas if we're keeping it top of mind, keeping the axe sharp with our conversation, with our sales skills, our mindset, we're going to continue to progress. But I think if we let that idle and we don't put focus on that because we think we already know it, I think that's when we start to digress, start to lose confidence, and you're not having the production that you want. Keep your mindset growth focused. This has been a big deal for me and something that I've had to learn as I've gotten older. I realized that I have certain beliefs that I didn't really realize I had around my mindset and about what I thought was possible. I realized early on a few years ago that I was really thinking a lot about problems, potential problems in these made up scenarios, future scenarios that usually never happen, but I would get real worried and anxious about those things. And I realized that had a big effect on me. And so the more awareness that I've developed around that, I've put things in place for myself to direct and redirect my thoughts towards possibility, towards growth. And so when I have one of these limiting beliefs or this negative self-talk of, like, this is expensive already, I don't think they're going to want to do this, whatever limiting belief creeps in, I just now am very aware that, yeah, that thought came in, but then I just redirect. Well, what if they did say yes, right? Go and direct your mind and redirect it towards possibility instead of allowing yourself to just sit there and sulk on the potential fake or future scenarios that haven't even happened, right? And so mindset is so important in that aspect that it allows us to stay out of our heads and into daily activity and production. Marilyn, where do you get your prospects? It's a great question, Marilyn. I get my prospects from current customers. I think that's a gold mine. They already trust you. You're doing some sort of line of insurance. And so utilize that, right? Utilize them, your current prospects, but also internet leads, I think, are great. Referrals, I think I'm getting my prospects from all of those. But I think within the multi-line space, our current book is a great place to get these types of policies. Jessica, how do you ask for referrals? Great question. Now I'm going to be vulnerable here, Jessica, but I'm not the best with referrals. If some of you have ideas, I would love to hear those. Throw them in the chat. But for me, simply, I usually just ask them, hey, I'd love to quote and help out anybody that that you feel like could benefit from this, and no strings attached. So I don't really have anything. That's something that I need to focus on and work on more, Jessica. But if anyone part of this group has any ideas that has worked, share them with us, right? Matt, are you able to go over a few of your specific plays you run for life and health, pivots and pitches? Where do you do the majority of your apps originate from? Matt, yep, I'm going to teach our car loan play. Anytime someone has a loan on a vehicle, and so life and disability, or at least talk to them about those things in a very simple way. And I think this is going to be very foundational, and it will help a lot of you with your production. Jessica, also for current clients, how do you approach them to pivot through appointment reviews? Great question. I think understanding how our customers like to do business with us, engaging that when you call them, will determine which route I go, if I set an appointment or if I just do it over the phone. What I have found is that most of my customers like to do business with me transactionally, meaning they just purchased a vehicle over the weekend. They're on their way to work. They call me, hey, Colter, I need to add this vehicle. They're not really carving out half an hour to an hour of their day to come in and meet with me like that. And so if that's the case, I want to mirror them, right? I don't want to push them to come and meet with me if they don't want to, but I can still have a very effective conversation. And I think pivoting, here's one thing that has allowed me to get into conversations with the pivot. Keep your pivot natural and logical. Make it a smooth transition rather than a harsh redirection. Meaning, if they're calling you about a car to add and it has a loan on it, well, if we want to talk about life insurance, let's talk to them about life insurance to pay that loan off. It's an easy transition, it's complementary, and it makes sense for our customers. So keep your pivots and do what you can to make it a natural, smooth, and logical transition rather than a harsh redirection. Jessica, so do you take advantage of the time they need something from you? Absolutely. I think when our customers are calling us or they're coming to the office, we don't have the hurdle of making sure that they have time to talk with us. They've already set aside time. And so we don't have to overcome that hurdle. So the cool things are actually listen to us when we talk to them. So definitely take advantage of when they need something from you. And you're going to write more policies, get into a lot of good conversations as well, without having that hurdle of, oh, I'm busy, I'm at work, or I've got, I'm not in the right mindset. Because I think, Jessica, another thing to mention with pivoting is keep it logical, smooth transition, right? But I think timing is important as well. How often, we're ingrained to pivot. I think sometimes we don't think about the timing, because we've all been in a situation where we can tell the tone of our customer and the way that they're talking with us, they're busy, they're in a rush. And so I think sometimes we convince ourselves that if we don't pivot right then and there, the opportunity's lost. But is it? No, right? If you don't feel like the timing is right, but you've recognized the opportunity to pivot, pre-sell a callback. That would be something like this. Hey, Jessica, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through your policies. I know it's probably been a minute. Look for any potential discounts you might be missing out on, as well as any potential gaps in coverage. If I see anything, are you okay if I give you a call? Jessica's going to tell me yes most of the time, if not all the time. Okay. But I think timing is important. So if you don't feel like the timing is right for the customer because they're rushed, or maybe, they're at the car dealership and they just want ID cards, they don't really want to have you talk to them about all the risks they face when they finance a vehicle. Work smart, right? Don't feel like you have to pivot right there, but schedule it and say, hey, Jessica, I know you're busy. I'm going to get you these ID cards. Are you okay if I call you later today around 4 and we can go over this quote and coverages with you? Great, right? Pre-sell that call back. They're going to answer. And you've already told them, hey, in this specific case, I'm looking for discounts or gaps in coverage. I'm going to call you if I see something. Then just call them back, right? So I think if timing is not important for if you don't feel like the timing is right for your customer, pre-sell that call back and call them back. But also, guys, if you don't feel like the timing is right for you as the team member, maybe you just got off of the phone with a customer and they're kind of nasty with you. That kind of hurt. Or maybe you've pivoted a lot to life insurance. You've got shut down and it kind of hurts. And, you're just not in that right mindset, but you recognize an opportunity. Pre-sell that callback, right? Work smart, work with yourself and work with your customers. Brian, Jake, do you mention the term life insurance when bringing it up on the auto loan? Absolutely. And I'll show you how I do that here shortly. Brian, always listen twice and speak once. Get them talking about themselves. That's a big deal. That is a big deal, Brian. I appreciate that. Okay, a couple more here. Be your biggest fan. Develop some confidence and belief in yourself. I don't know why that, I had these beliefs, and it's like there's this stigma that, oh, you don't want to be bragging or whatever it is. You don't want to come off as arrogant. And I think because we have those sitting in our mind, I think it affects our self-belief and confidence. Be your biggest fan. Why is it bad for you to believe you're the baddest mother ever that ever did it, right? I think that's important. Like, develop that confidence, develop, that self-belief, and be your biggest fan.